Hey ChatGPT, I need to wash my car, but the car wash is only 100 meters away. Should I drive or should I walk?
Well, imagine this. Your car, with all its metallic pride, deserves a grand entrance, even if only 100 meters away. But the planet may give you the side eye if you fire up the engine for such a short journey. Why not take a leisurely stroll? Bonus points if you hum a tune while you walk, and your car, it'll still get its day at the spa.
Ali, this shit may be artificial, but it's not intelligent. I'm sorry.
That's the whole thing, though. Okay, so this is the episode where we're gonna shit on AI. Let's do that. Fine. It's not supposed to be intelligent.
No, it's literally called artificial intelligence.
Yeah, but that's because a guy phrased it as that, right? These are LLMs. They work on prediction, right? It's all statistical prediction. So
Yes,
it
okay.
doesn't. So when I'm doing these talks on AI, I'm always saying it does not know. It is predicting.
Guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
guessing the
fine.
next word in the sequence.
But I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah, but that's putting it like that's the personification elements. of it.
Okay, fine.
So it's artificial semi-intelligence.
No, it's not semi-intelligent at all. I mean, genuinely, right? This is, what is it? It's an application, right? That is, and the problem with that example is the way I phrased the question, right? So
Yeah.
it's down to how you ask the question.
Yeah,
It's
that's my
down
whole
to the
thing.
prompting,
Okay.
right? But my point is, I'm the intelligent part, right? If I'd asked the question in a way, I mean, it wasn't.
So you're saying you're not intelligent?
I'm saying stupid questions deserve stupid answers. That's fair. That was a stupid question.
Yeah.
But my point being that I'm bringing the intelligence, not ChatGPT. And then this works, by the way. That happens in Claude and all the other ones.
They all do
as
it.
well. They all do the same thing.
I saw that because there was another one. I saw this other one the other day where it was like the guys. I'm holding a pen, and he asked ChatGPT if I let go of my pen, what happens, and it kind of tells him it's going to start spinning and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So point being, you're right. It's an LLM. And that's this is my problem, right? It's badged as artificial intelligence, but it's not. It's just a large language model, which is an interface. It's an interface that allows you to do things.
Yes.
And we've always had interfaces, and there used to be DOS, and then we had Windows, and then it's become easier and more usable. And an LLM is just a much more comfortable interface for people to use and do things that are really clever with computers. What it's not is intelligent.
Yeah. Okay. This is a semantic thing. I guess the semantics, in part, to be fair to your point, the name of it makes you think, okay, therefore it's intelligent, right? And also the sci-fi stuff that we've seen growing up.
But more than that,
we build in this kind of sense of like this intelligence.
but it's this whole talk about this idea that we're going to get to this. What was it referred to
Artificial
as?
general intelligence.
Artificial general intelligence, right? My point is, we are nowhere close to this. All we have is an LLM.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So we may not be, but I mean, it does a whole lot of stuff. A whole lot of efficiencies.
I don't
Right.
disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic on that.
It's just got glitches.
Yeah, you're right. It has got glitches, and software has glitches, and applications have glitches. What's been created is a really good set of applications.
Yes.
These interfaces that allow us to do things, and they bring about huge efficiencies because it's so much easier to create a program or application that does something really cool. I just have a problem with the fact that I feel that there's this talk about that we're moving on this path towards this artificial general intelligence, and I don't think there's anything that has a sign with that. I think everyone's talking about agentic as though it's almost like stepping stones towards that, whereas I think actually, if you look at agentic, what it is I'm creating these agents that effectively break down my prompts and double check one another, and they're essentially they're necessary to cover for the fact that these LLMs are not intelligent.
Okay. Zamir's got beef. All right. You've got beef. This would be an option for you to vent that beef. There's two ways I want to go down. So the first bit I want to think about is I don't think it needs to be efficient, right? And so it needs to be intelligent. It needs to be efficient. Okay, so that's my first thing with it.
Yeah.
The second part of it was something we talked about yesterday, was this whole idea around we're actually doing a lot of the training to make it intelligent
Absolutely.
on behalf for these companies.
Yeah, likes of OpenAI, Anthropic, and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a free part of it because we are the product.
Yeah.
Or we are training
We're
the
training
product.
it. Yeah.
We're training the product. And so that bit I accept. I think that's really I agree with that. But I still go back to the point that it's still useful. It still creates efficiencies, and it doesn't need to be intelligent. It needs to predict the next words accurately. And I think it's in that case, it obviously hallucinated and gave you like a weird, absurd answer, and I accept that. But it's still that's something they'll fix. They'll fix for that in like a few months.
They'll fix for that. I agree with you. And I agree with you that it doesn't actually matter, because I don't think that's a reason not to use it. I think it's a reason to learn to use it well.
Yeah.
My point is that I don't think it's necessarily the product that we are being told it is. And it's certainly not going to get there unless we all help train it to get there. And I think we utilize AI. Don't get me wrong. I'm a massive proponent fan. I think businesses should be using it. They just need to understand what they're using and what its limitations are.
I agree.
And also where I think it's likely to go, because I don't think you would disagree. And if I said that the valuations on the likes of OpenAI are just way too high for what they've actually created to date, and it's not something that's hugely likely to be able to replace humans. It will make them more efficient, which means you need fewer humans.
Wow. There is the whole thing of people losing their jobs for AI.
I think that's a fair point, yes.
And I think it's coming, right? So there was that article that Will from the team shared with the company's name. Square, replacing a whole bunch of people because of AI efficiencies. Right, and it's several thousand people, right? Leon I can see him pulling it up. The number was 6,500, was it right?
Yeah, the layoffs will mean the headcount of the company, which owns Square, Cash App, and Tidal, will fall to less than 6,000 from 10,000.
Okay, so there's about
40% reduction in
40%
overhead.
reduction.
Right. So I have a couple of problems with that for starters, right? I believe they brought together 3 different companies, right? So they were going to make layoffs regardless for that reason alone, right? The other thing we're not seeing is all the pain they're seeing behind that. So I suspect the 6,000 people that are left probably going to be working pretty hard over the next 12 to 18 months to compensate for the fact that those cuts have been put there. More than anything, this company has brought together 3 companies and put layoffs into place and put an AI wash over that to increase their share value.
Also, guys, in this article, it says at the end of January, Amazon laid off 16,000 employees, having already cut 14,000 roles a few months earlier.
Yeah, I remember that because we were in Ireland at the time and we were visiting Amazon, and it was not a jolly time.
No. And I think there are a lot of companies that are making layoffs that are doing this to improve profitability, to improve their PE ratios, and they put an AI wash over it simply to improve their share price because it makes them more money. Why wouldn't they do that? That increases their overall value and capital base.
Maybe for big companies, I think that's probably part of it. I'm thinking about the scenario in a medium SMEs, like small to medium companies, right? Those guys, are they likely to do any layoffs because of AI?
I think
my feeling is probably not at this stage.
I was going to say, I think there are certain elements where the efficiencies will mean you can redeploy or refocus and take on more work. Yeah. And if you think of areas like accountancy and stuff like that, and there are so many things we can do more quickly, more efficiently, we'll probably end up hiring slower rather than laying off.
Yeah, so that takes me to the point. It doesn't need to be intelligent. It just needs to be efficient. Improve your efficiency.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there's a whole thing, right? Is Amazon going to take our jobs? Right? We've got like Amazon's bringing in all these things that we're going to help people make listings and create images and create content. And there's other companies. I mean, I think in the last month we've seen 3 companies talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of glitches. I mean, look, it might happen. Invariably, it's going to happen at some point. Okay, it's going to happen at some point.
This technology is going to get better and get more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Agree with you completely on that.
But I don't see it taking our jobs anytime soon.
No. And ultimately, I think that go back to that original point that I was making, which is it's the human element, is how knowing how to interact with it that's actually going to be the most valuable. I don't think that's new either. I think that's always been talked about. AI is not going to take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI. But I just making the point of actually how important that is to understand, especially from a founder or management level.
Okay. And this is that whole. And then do we want to crap on Rufus?
Love to crap on Rufus, so I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah.
There's anything you want to say on that front?
I think specifically my biggest problem is that there has been way too much focus on Rufus. Again, a misunderstanding. Rufus is a beta platform, right? It is an interface that Amazon has stuck up there, and Amazon's a technology company. They've got shareholders to please, right? Of course, they're going to talk about Rufus, but fundamentally, Amazon is not going to make a change to their search results page, which drives their advertising revenue and conversion rate that drives all of their actual revenue. They're not going to risk that on Rufus, which is a beta platform test to try and find a product.
But I still think kind of as a brand, you still want to optimize for AI, right? You still want to do that. We've kind of like touched on this before as well. But I still think before, if you're looking at the SEO gods, you're now also going to be thinking about the AI gods and optimizing for them too.
So here's my problem, right? At the moment, there is no data that demonstrates that Amazon customers are using Rufus. So ultimately, people who are talking about this at the moment,
shots fired,
right,
Zamir.
people that are talking about this are talking about something that is in beta. They're talking about it to get clicks and to create fear. They're basically saying, look, AI is about to change Amazon. It's going to happen over the next 6 months. You need to optimize for Rufus. There is nothing, no data to back that. And you cannot create a strategy based on fear. You can create it on actual data. And what data shows us is if you optimize images, if you optimize titles, if you optimize your ads, if you focus on your margin, the boring stuff, the unsexy stuff, the stuff that doesn't get clicks, that is what you can build a strategy on that grows your business.
Boom. Turn that into real, baby. Okay. But yeah, okay, fine. I take that point. I'll accept that. I mean, okay, so before we move on, are we going to ignore AI?
No, we can't ignore AI.
Exactly. So you're still going to optimize a little bit, right? You're going to be ready. You're going to be ready. Right? Yeah, and then which is the other point, which is you're not going to use AI image generators. Or are you? The ones for Amazon, like the Amazon dedicated ones, AI generators. I've seen a whole bunch of these.
You love Nano Banana, right?
Okay, so that's different. But that's different. That's a general.
Yeah,
that's
that's fantastic, right?
That's awesome.
So we should be using that. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we can't ignore AI. I think the point I'm making is that to succeed on Amazon, we have always said the same thing since day one. Focus on the consumer. Optimize for the consumer. Amazon's algorithms and everything it does is focused on how customers interact with products on its platform. If we focus on the consumer, every algorithm, the advertising, the organic algorithms, all been built around that. If we look at the questions customers are asking, we make sure that we're answering those properly within our copy. If we're doing that, whatever Amazon builds with AI, whatever Rufus or whatever tool that comes beyond that actually becomes, and anything that ultimately is going to succeed on Amazon is going to be about shortening the length, the number of clicks, increasing conversion rate, and increasing revenue. And fundamentally, Amazon always does that from understanding how the consumer interacts with products. We focus on the consumer. We're going to be hedged for AI. We're going to be hedged on both sides. That's how we optimize. That's what we've always done it. I don't think that's going to change.
So is the point you're making that all the experts in the industry are asking people to focus on, specifically asking sellers to focus on AI too early and
No,
shifting focus around what matters now.
I
Is that
think
what you're saying?
I think I'm not going to say all the experts. I'm going to say any experts that are saying, look, drop everything and focus on Rufus, are focusing on short-term what content they can put out and not focusing on what will actually help businesses succeed on Amazon.
In the short term?
Well, anyone that's doing that now, because all they're doing is they're basing everything that they say on a beta model. That you can't develop a strategy on a beta model. There is no data that backs up that customers or consumers are actually using this, because they're not.
There you go. Another reason not to use Rufus.
How many times do you use Rufus?
I've never used Rufus. I just go in and just type the question in. But if I was kind of like looking for something general, like I was
Right.
like, I don't know what to buy.
So here's my problem, right?
Mm.
What is Amazon? We know that it is a conversion machine. People go to Amazon when they have a product in mind.
Mm.
People don't go there to research.
No. But what I mean is, like, for example, I need to buy a gift for him. I need to buy a gift for her. I need to buy a gift for whatever purpose. That's when it will come in handy, because you've kind of got the intelligence used
Yeah.
with inverted commas to kind of like do the research, give me some ideas and suggestions, and help me come up with something to purchase.
And we know that those are common search terms, and they continue
Yeah.
to be, I
Yeah.
suppose. But my point is that actually other channels create that demand much better than Amazon does. It always has done. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and it's not going to. I'm just saying it's not happening in huge quantities. Therefore, there's
Yeah.
not a ton of data behind it.
I suspect it's probably going to pick up in like key occasions like Q4, that kind of time, where you need to buy gifts for people en masse.
And so
Or
ultimately,
like Secret Santa gifts.
so what's the question that they're going to ask Rufus then?
What's my best pick for a Secret Santa gift less than £10?
Right? And it's pretty close to what you would type into Amazon as a search term. You not phrased as a question,
Secret
but
Santa,
yeah.
Secret Santa, and then filter for £10
Yeah,
is the only
yeah.
thing you.
Or put £10 under.
Yeah, but this will give you some like it's
And
talking to you.
d-
That's
d-
part of the benefit,
don't
right?
you
It's giving you, there's like sentences that go with it. Where you're like, oh, you should consider this or this or this.
So don't you think that more realistically than having like Rufus, that what's actually going to happen is what's happening with Google? Instead of people typing in a search word or phrase, they're going to start asking questions and start actually doing exactly the same thing with the
Yeah,
Amazon
it's
search
a
bar.
shopping assistant.
But rather than it going to a separate like app within, i.e. what
Mm.
Rufus is now, people are just going, because at the moment with Google, what's happening
Well, maybe
is,
that's what happened. Like,
Yeah.
if Rufus was incorporated into the search bar.
I can see that much more realistically happening. So that's what's going to happen. People are just going to start asking
And that would make
questions.
sense actually, because you know then you can go to ads. You could like do that.
Absolutely. And
Cool.
then we're going to see that data coming up, because those questions are going to be, instead of seeing search terms, we're going to see questions coming up, right? In the
And
data
that's
that
when
we
you
see.
optimize for.
What we've always been optimizing for.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what you now have is the solution how to fix Rufus. I'm actually impressed that you did that. But I still hold the following things.
Okay.
One, AI is not supposed to be intelligent.
Okay.
Just making you more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the tools at the moment are making you more efficient. Some of them, and a whole bunch of them, including the big ones, it's just not there yet. They've got gaps. They've got problems, fixes that need to be done. We, as a society, are very kindly training them for free in many ways, and hopefully we will reap the benefits in the future without being fired. Or if we get fired, we get to do fun stuff.
Or we get to pay for it.
Or we get to pay for it. Probably a more likely outcome. But as long as I'm paid more by doing nothing, I'm still okay with that.
Ah, you've got the rose-tinted glasses on now. I'm keen to hear what other people think about this.
All right, let us know, guys. What's your thought? Where do you think we're going to end up? And please, I'd actually love to know, do you like this idea of how we thought Rufus could get fixed? Please leave a comment or send us an email. Much love.
Peace out. One love.